Dun 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 dun! Welcome to your brain study. Today we are going to talk about the limbic system, and the limbic system is referred to as your emotional brain because it is functioning, what functions from it. It's very deep inside your brain, and it's emotions like aggression, fear, pleasure, your primitive drives, and your instincts. And there are three parts of the brain that are considered the limbic system: your amygdala, your thalamus, and your hypothalamus. So it's about to get weird. Sorry, but if you watched my other videos, you know it's how I work, and hopefully it helps you work too, because I rocked my test thanks to this stuff, these stories. I'm just saying. Okay, so your amygdala, amygdala. I called it before another video, but really I think it's called the amygdala. Her name is Amy. I just call her Amy. It's easier to remember. Amy's super emotional, and if you've seen the movie Pitch Perfect, you know that there's Fat Amy in the story, and she is kind of a crazy character. She can be really emotional. She's all over the place. So Amy, the amygdala, I should say, she moderates emotion. So she can be angry and aggressive, and then she can be loving, and then she generally in the movie, think about her, she was comfortable in social settings, and she has that Amy is responsible for your emotional response or memories to smell. So you smell perfume, you think about your grandma. That's what Amy is responsible for. So Fat Amy, she modulates emotion. So she's angry and aggressive, and then she's loving, and then she smells the perfume, and she has emotional memory to smell. And she's comfortable in social settings. She's a hip-hop girl. She's happening. She's friendly. She relays effective responses to events. So if something happens, she remembers it by smell or whatever, and that's your amygdala. Okay, and then you have your relay switch, your thalamus. I call him Hal. And Shallow Hal, sometimes I call him from the movie. But Mr. Hal is your relay switch center. So basically, he relays all sensory information and decides what should be sent through, what should be blocked to prevent sensory overload in your brain. The only thing Hal has no idea, he has no sense of smell. The poor guy can't smell a thing. So he can relay all sensory information except smells into the brain, filters it, helps prevent sensory overload. And if he's damaged, if Hal's not working right, your verbal memory is going to be impaired, you're going to be emotionally apathetic, and you have difficulty recognizing faces. So how my friends and I remembered it with Mr. Hal. So he's your relay switch. He can't smell a thing, so he can't remember what to say. He is emotionally apathetic, so his face, and we do these hand signals, actually helps us. So don't know what to say, emotionally apathetic, no emotions, and he can't recognize your face. So speak, blunted affect kind of, and then emotionally apathetic. That's how, okay? The thalamus. Now you have your hypothalamus, and hypo, I think hippo. And go with me here because this is kind of where it gets a little bit weird, okay? Hypothalamus regulates your basic human functions, so your sleep patterns, your body temperature, your thirst, your physical drives of hunger and sex. And so we think hypothalamus, hippo. So think about a hippo. He's huge, he's fat, he hangs out in the water. So he's hangs out in the water, so with the water he's got to keep his temperature stabilized because he's in the water all the time. He sleeps all the time. He's a big dude, requires a lot of sleep, so he affects your sleep and rest patterns. He's in the water, so he's obviously quite thirsty, so that helps with your thirst. And he's a man, so what does he think about all the time? Food and sex. That's right, I said it. Sorry guys, but it's kind of true. So, Mr. Hippo, Mr. Hypothalamus, he affects your sleep rest patterns, your body temperature, your thirst, your physical drives for hunger and sex. Now, if your hippo, if Mr. Hippo, chubby man hippo in the water, is not being regulated well, if you're having a problem with the regulation, you're going to see that manifest in psychiatric symptoms like schizophrenia. Can be one of the main things, so that's something very important to remember. Okay, another thing you have, basically we talk about neurons. So you have different neurons, sensory motor neurons in your brain. Okay, how I remember what goes where. If you sense something, it's sensory. So, let's see how we make this work. Okay, let's just my arm's kind of weird, but okay. But I think sensory, afferent, motor, efferent. So sensory is afferent, so it's taken to the brain, and your motor functioning is efferent, it's going out to the body. So same, I spell the word same, and I have a horrible little drawing I will show you, because I can't draw with beans. Can you see that? There we go. Sensory, afferent, motor, efferent, okay? It's a bad picture, but just remember that. Sensory, afferent, motor, efferent. You will see these questions come up multiple times, and it will help you. So the sensory afferent goes to your brain, carries impulses to your brain. So the motor efferent, me, that takes the impulses to from your brain to the glands of your body, to your muscles, all that stuff. And the synapse is a junction. So the synapse is in the brain. Those neurotransmitters do not touch. It's just a part that they jump across. There's excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitters that you need to know about. Just remember that neurotransmitters, as they're crossing along that synaptic membrane, they're electrical impulses. They're released. So that's something very important to remember, because you will see it again. Okay, so some of your neurotransmitters, there's several, and you're going to know these, so make sure you got them down, okay? Your excitatory, oh, sorry, my dog's trying to come visit. Lay down. Your excitatory is dopamine, sorry, glutamate, serotonin, norepinephrine, and your inhibitory is GABA. And acetylcholine is both inhibitory and excitatory. So dopamine, it's excitatory, it controls movements, more dopamine, more excitability. Schizophrenia is a main and schizoaffective main disorder from dopamine. So the more dopamine, the more psychotic symptoms. If you can get a dopamine blocker or decrease their dopamine, the psychotic symptoms will decrease. So you need like a dopamine blocker or something to treat the schizophrenia. Serotonin is also excitatory. It is your major transmitter for homeostasis. It controls your food intake, your sleep, your wake, your temperature regulation, sexual behaviors. If it's decreased, you're going to see depression. Many antidepressants will block the reuptake, causing increased mood swings. Norepinephrine is also excitability. It's increased with anxiety. Decrease may contribute to memory loss, social withdrawal, and depression. And it causes changes in your attention, your sleep, your memory, and your mood. Okay, for acetylcholine, this is important. I remember this on several tests that I took through ATI, through class, all that. It's very important to remember. Acetylcholine, you're going to see this over and over again. I think AAA. So acetylcholine is my first A. It is, if it's decreased, it causes Alzheimer's. And how do you treat it? The third A, Aricept. So with acetylcholine, it's your AAA. It's acetylcholine, Alzheimer's, and Aricept. Those are the three you need to know. Aricept inhibits the breakdown of acetylcholine, so it stops that and helps improve your sleep-wake cycles and tells your muscles, hey, wake up, let's get going. So, and it helps with your REM sleep as well. So remember, the AAA, acetylcholine, Aricept, Alzheimer's. Okay? I said them in a little bit different order. And then GABA. This is my favorite one. I got a lot of slack from my friends because I was being quite weird, but just go with me here. Your GABA is one of your inhibitory, one of the only inhibitory other than acetylcholine can be both. Your inhibitory GABA, if your GABA is down, it leads to increased anxiety. If your GABA is high, it decreases anxiety. So I did this. So I'll do a shorter version, but I literally did my hands straight up in the air, one hand up, one hand down, and said GABA, like a cheerleader or something. So GABA up, anxiety down. Anxiety up, GABA down. So the flip. So if your GABA is high, your anxiety is going to be low. If your GABA is low, your anxiety is going to be high. So if you do that kind of weird GABA, that will help you remember that it's basically opposite. Whatever GABA is doing, if it's decreased or increased, that's what anxiety will be, the opposite. So that's a good way to remember that. So how do they treat like anxiety and sleep disorders? How do they increase your GABA? Well, they'll give you like Valium or Ativan or something like that to increase your GABA. And glutamate is also excitatory. Decrease can lead to psychotic thinking. If the glue, if you sniff too much glue, right, increased glutamate causes neuronal death. Your neurons are going to die. So I think if you're sniffing glue, you have too much glue, your neurons are going to die and you're not going to be thinking clearly. Alzheimer's is one disorder that can be affected by this. So make sure you know those because they will be on the test. You will see them in the future for your nursing career, and it's just important. Psychosocial stuff is very important. Psychiatric disorders need to be treated as any other medical disorder like diabetes. So hope this helps, guys. Enjoy and take care.